you moved here to the US from the Philippines at age 6, like knew no English
Yeah.
and really struggled to assimilate in those early years. And this year you got awarded California Teacher of the Year. Oh my gosh.
I didn't want students to dread being in my classroom.
And you're the California Teacher of the Year. It's just extraordinary. You've spent your whole career just like so deeply focused on how do I create opportunities that allow my kids to thrive.
When you go into this classroom, like, tell me what you're feeling. And they're like, it's math. I hate it. Why are you feeling this way? Like, you are going through a stress response right now. And so when your brain shuts off, there's going to be this block for you. And so we have to like make sure your brain is calm.
Chrizia, I am just so beyond excited to be here in real life with you today. Your story just is so inspiring to me,
Thank
like
you.
so deeply inspiring. I mean, you moved here to the US from the Philippines at age 6, like knew no English
Yeah.
and really struggled to assimilate in those early years. And this year you got awarded California Teacher of the Year. Oh my gosh. I am blown away by you. And I remember when your sister Christine took the Breathe for Change training like a decade ago in 2016.
Yeah.
And then 5 years later, I hear you come knocking on my door being like, Ilana, I want to take the Breathe for Change training too. And then literally 5 years later, here we are today. And you are an extraordinary educator and leader in the state of California, in the US. And I just want to unpack the whole journey with you because, wow, I I'm in awe. And I think there's so much that we as educators can learn from you. And I think it starts really from the beginning. So I would love for you to just like go back to the beginning of your life. Like you moved here to the US knowing no English. Like, what
Yeah.
did it feel like for you to be in school?
Well, first and foremost, like, thank you so much for having me and like investing in me. Like I was telling you before, um, I guess like looking back and rewinding, right? When I was 6, like I
Yeah.
had this just such vivid memory. We're like in the car and I'm like with my aunt and my mom because my family was like dropping us off.
Yeah.
And I just remember crying and I'm telling my aunt in Tagalog and I'm just like, natatakot ako, like hindi ako marunong mag-English, like I don't know what I'm gonna do, like
Mhm.
I'm scared, like what am I going to do? And it's really funny now because I'm so chatty and so extroverted and
I
like I
love
was
it.
so scared to come to the US, right?
Mhm.
And then having my parents and my siblings support me through that and just slowly being able to come out of my shell is kind of like cool to see how much I've grown, right?
Mhm.
6-year-old me would have been like, what is going on? New country, like you're
Mhm.
living with your family so that we can get our own place to be in and like going into kindergarten and not having friends. And I'm used to like when in the school in the Philippines, like I had tons of friends and I'm just so like all in the different things, right? And so
Mhm.
then like having to learn English and then really finding my place with like basketball and how I joke so much a lot about basketball being my second language instead of English. And
Let's push
then,
English to the third
yeah,
language.
exactly. Like basketball's so much easier, less rules. English
Mm.
has like so many exceptions
Oh,
and
yeah.
this. And I'm like, huh, am I saying that right?
Just let me crush the three-pointer, okay?
Yeah. So then, you know, I kind of was really, really shy when I got to school.
Makes sense.
Um, I didn't really want to show myself. My name is like a really big part of my story.
Oh, say
Uh,
more.
it's Chrizia. Like I joke with people all the time. Like I'll give you $10 if you can spell my name or if you can pronounce
I
my
mean,
name.
I had to ask you multiple times, "Wait, how do I pronounce your name
Yeah,
correctly?"
and so, like, hearing that at school and then, like, cringing and, like, waiting, and then they're like, "Oh, last name Della Rosa," and, and so it, like, feels like I had to hide a lot of myself
Mm.
because I wanted to fit in and assimilate, being a young kid and like immigrant. And
Mhm.
luckily, the Bay Area was like super diverse and
Mhm.
I didn't feel that alone.
Yeah.
And then my second grade teacher really kind of
Miss
helped me,
Tran?
Miss Tran.
Oh, we love Miss
Yep,
Tran.
she really, really helped me kind of come out of my shell and she really believed in me. But I didn't realize that or how big of an impact she made in my life until I was like reflecting on who are my favorite teachers or who kind of was like that push that I needed to really kind of come out of my shell.
What did she do?
I don't know if she talked to my teachers prior. So,
Uh-huh.
like, she must have talked to my first grade teacher or something because she knew my name when she greeted me on the first day of school.
Mhm.
And to me, that was like such a huge deal, right?
Mhm.
And every day in class, it was just so fun and warm, inviting. Like, learning didn't feel like learning. And being in school just for a few years in the US, like, school was always so intimidating.
Mhm.
Right? And so it was the first time in a classroom I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I feel like I belong. I can like come out of my shell a little bit more. Like
Mhm.
I'm not as ashamed to like bring my Filipino food for lunch or and
Mhm.
things like that." So when I like always look back of like who influenced me to become who I am, like I'm always trying to be like, "Okay, like how did Miss Tran make me feel in class?" and
Mhm.
things like that, right? And so it was really really cool to kind of have that person really believe in you that wasn't your family.
Totally.
And
Totally.
then second grade, we at the end of second grade, I remember telling her like, "Oh, I'm moving, like I'm so bummed." And she's like, "It's okay, like we'll keep in touch." And she would write me letters in the summer to check in with me and see how I was doing.
Even when you weren't at her school anymore.
Yeah. And
What an
so
extraordinary human.
right? And
Ugh.
she would like send me pictures of when she would travel. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I want to be like her when I'm
Mhm.
older." And
And you totally are.
I'm trying, and I still look back and thinking of, like, who are my teachers, um, that also kind of I could look up to, that I could relate to,
Mhm.
and although, like, we are not the same ethnicity or come from the same culture or background, there were still a lot of similarities
Is
there,
she
right? Like
Vietnamese?
yeah, she
I
is.
know that because my daughter's last name is Trang. It's Trang with and she's Tran.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so it's like you don't have a or at least for me growing up, I didn't have a lot of teachers who kinda looked like me
Mhm.
or influenced me, and even when I moved to Fresno, which was a predominantly white community, and I wouldn't change my, like, how I grew up because it's shaped me who I am
Mhm.
today, it was hard, right?
Yeah.
And so just, like, looking back and at least being able to have teachers like Miss Tran to help push me and at least have someone to look up to and have role models like that
Mhm.
was really formative for me, and I didn't realize that until, the more time I spend to reflect and, like, be mindful and be present.
Mhm. And what was that transition to another community? It's like you finally in second grade, you feel like you belong, and then
Yeah,
boom, switch
right.
again, and you're back to square one, or what was that new iteration of transition like for you?
It was challenging, right? Again, trying to probably walk back a little bit, closed off a little bit of my culture, like, I wanted to be white.
Mhm.
I wanted to just fit in. I wanted to have like super straight hair. I wanted to,
Mm.
eat pizza for lunch instead of the good food my mom made me.
What
Eh,
was the impact of that on your family?
I think my parents did the best that they could and they really wanted to send us to a school that, we didn't have to pay
Mhm.
for.
Mhm.
And I feel really grateful that my parents made that decision
Mhm.
because we had a really great education.
It's
Like, I was supported through sports. I learned a lot about myself playing sports and
Mhm.
how, like, that kind of gave me my first taste of what teaching is like
Mhm.
because of the basketball program that I was a part of as high schoolers, the varsity, high school players were coaches to the kindergarteners, first
Oh.
graders, second graders, and things like that. And so I think for my family, it was a blessing in disguise. And
Mhm.
I'm really, really grateful my parents were able to kind of make that decision like, hey, the Bay Area, we're getting priced out. We're moving to Fresno, Clovis, and, you know, gonna try and send our kids to a community that's gonna really pushed them. And I don't know, they always saw and kind of instilled in us, like, education is kind of that, I don't know, like, doorway to
Yeah.
push you to something, like, and have better opportunities,
Mhm.
right?
Totally. I mean, my husband, whose family's from Vietnam, has a very similar experience where his parents came to San Jose, literally just like you, and then ended up doing everything they could to give the kids the best education possible. And that's how I met my husband, as he came to my high school.
Oh my
Yeah, so
goodness.
I obviously haven't experienced that same, you know, just journey that you have, but through my family, I feel like there's a piece of me that understands a little bit just the commitment and the desire to provide the kids the best possible education and outcomes. It's
Yeah.
like
Like, my parents just really wanted the best for us, right?
Mhm.
And so it was hard,
Yep.
but at the end of the day, like, when I look at my siblings now and, like, what we're doing and, like, the opportunities that my niece and nephews get to have, and
Mhm.
it's, like, cool to see, like, wow, like, my parents, it started from their decisions and their parents, right? So
Totally. It's incredible. So go a little bit deeper into your first experience as a teacher that, obviously you were more coaching little
yeah,
kids, but
yeah.
what was it about that experience that had you see something in you as an actual teacher that was like, "Oh, huh."
So I was always drawn to little kids growing up.
Mhm.
Like, I have a lot of cousins, like, at least 30 on one side, maybe 50 in total, right? And
Mhm.
so I've always been drawn to, like, taking care of my baby cousins, holding them around, and just kind of providing that nurture and warmth. And so when I had the opportunity to start coaching,
Mm.
I was like, "Okay, like, totally vote for the
Yes.
kindergartners and first graders."
The cutest.
Yeah, right? Just because
Oh.
also when I think about it, it's like basketball was so important to me.
Mhm.
And I learned playing basketball and really fitting in before, like I mentioned, learning English, right?
Right.
And so I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's start with the little kiddos. Let's get them like dribbling the ball or trying to get their form right and
Giving
different
them their
things."
second language.
Yeah, exactly. Or
Literally.
or like helping them find their passion in something,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And so when you're really breaking it down to, like, the basic and trying to give them that foundation of what basketball is, it was, like, almost addicting when they would get that light bulb moment of
Mhm.
making their first shot or being able to
Yeah.
dribble for 2 or 3 seconds instead of, like, the 1 second that they're used to. It was like,
Just
"Oh my gosh."
extraordinary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? And then it was cool to also see that when we can break down the game a little bit deeper and really go into that foundation, it helped me understand basketball even deeper
Mhm.
and kind of become a better player and a better teammate. I was no
Because our
all-star.
students are our greatest teachers as
Yeah,
educators. I
right.
mean, it's, like, so reciprocal, right?
Exactly.
Teachers learn from students, students learn from teachers, vice versa. Everyone's an educator and a student at the same time, and we can all grow together.
Right. And so it was cool to see that I was learning as much from them
Mhm.
because then I would take that and, like, again, I was no all-star. I was a bench captain, I like to call myself. I mean, you know me, I'm like 5 feet tall, right?
Me too. I'm right there
So
with you.
so it's not like I was getting a lot of playing time, but it really helped me become a better teammate because
Mhm.
I started seeing things on the court and I would tell them like, "Hey, this is what I'm seeing," and I could just learn on my communication skills and kind of
Totally.
like help in that manner and like help bring that energy and culture.
Yep.
And so for me, when I started thinking about like, hey, what am I gonna do when I'm older, like after high school? Yeah, I was not gonna have a scholarship in basketball or a career in the WNBA.
Maybe in another lifetime?
Yeah, maybe maybe another lifetime, right? I always say it's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the
Yes,
size of the fight in the dog,
for
right?
sure,
But
100%.
I'm sure that's like the mantra for all uh height challenged people who
Uh,
are playing sports that are,
uh,
you know,
100%. I mean,
or
I
undersized.
think we deserve recognition.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of like how I started looking into like what do I want to study.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to be a teacher, and I started tutoring math. Math just came natural to me.
Mhm.
Um, when I think about my new students or students that come into my classroom, I'm like, sometimes we don't need to be speaking the same language. It's kind of just like here are symbols, and how can we kind of understand it, and we'll be able to communicate, right? And
Math is
so
the shared language in
yeah,
your classroom.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I applied to Fresno State. I got in and I started studying to be a liberal studies major
Mhm.
and kind of started taking my ed classes. My one of my mentors was a teacher, and so I spent a lot of time in her classroom shadowing, and she gave me the opportunity to, lead little circles and mini
Yeah.
groups, and I fell in love with it more and more, and like connecting back with old coaches. And I was like, "Hey, can I observe your classroom? What does a fourth grade class look like versus like a first grade?" And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Okay, yeah, let me stay with the younger class."
This is interesting. You're focusing on elementary school, but
Yeah.
how in the world did you end up in high school?
So I got into a program called Teach for America.
I know that all too well.
Right? um, Backing up a little bit, I think also what influences me a lot is my sister,
Mhm.
right? I am the typical, stereotypical, like, uh, what is the older sister doing? Although she's only older than me by
Mm.
like a year, but
Uh-huh.
she's still like my role model. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, what is she doing? Oh, she got into this program. Let me apply and see if I can get into it. I got into
Mhm.
it, and um, like I mentioned before, math just always came really easily for me. So in high
Mhm.
school, I took a lot of those AP classes, and then for electives, I was like, "Oh, this math class like seems interesting. Let me take that instead." And because of that emphasis in math, TFA was like, "Oh,
Oh, you're a math
you
teacher.
are now a math teacher. You are teaching ninth grade."
Yep.
And I'm like, "Oh,
Excuse me?
guess guess I got to study up and
Yep.
pass these like tests so that I can be a high school math teacher." And so what in 2013, although I was even I was working at a preschool before that,
Mhm.
um, I've only really taught high school students, and I
You were
haven't looked
like the
back.
opposite of me. I was, like, working in classrooms, like, elementary and high school, and I didn't know that early childhood was an option, and I ended up getting placed as a pre-K teacher, and I was like, "Excuse me?
Yeah,
Like,
like,
no way.
"Oh,
What?
okay.
Okay.
Sure. Well,
I
let
guess
how."
this is my future, and we're
Yeah.
just gonna go with it and see what happens." Yeah. So then you got placed as a math teacher. What was your sister again?
She was placed also in high school.
Okay.
In science, though,
Uh-huh.
which was interesting because similar, she had a psych degree, had an emphasis in early childhood development,
Uh-huh.
and then they're like, "Oh, but you've got some sort of science background." Biology teacher.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, but she's, like, super smart,
Mhm.
so, I mean, she was able to figure it out, and she was able to make that impact. And
Totally.
I remember her having this conversation, she's like, "I got into TFA, they want me to go to Miami, like, should I go?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Miami." And then, of course, that influenced me. And I'm
Mhm.
like, "Okay, I'm going to apply for TFA. I'm going to try and go to Miami. I'm going to try and overlap with her." And
And
we
your
did.
wish is my command.
Yeah. So we were in the core together. We overlapped a year. It's a 2-year commitment, like you
Mhm.
remember. But I loved it so much. I stayed another year in Miami because, I mean, it was Miami. It was
Uh-huh.
fun. It was really hard. I will not sugarcoat that. So many different stories, so many like growing moments, right?
Uh-huh.
I don't
Talk
know.
more about what was challenging for you.
I don't know if you remember being 22,
Oh, I mean, I was a
21,
hot
22.
mess in my first few years of teaching.
I
I was
cried.
stressed, I was overwhelmed, horizontal on my couch crying, feeling completely underprepared, questioning myself, "Can I even do this?" How about you?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I cried so many times.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, I understand math. Can I get them to understand? And then at the same time, I was struggling with classroom management,
Yep.
right? I was taught like in undergrad, I was taught like how to be an elementary school teacher. And I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
how do I
Yep.
translate that to high school? And then I
Very
actually found out it's very similar.
it's The same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, like, actually really similar. Of course, you have to just change some of the different words you use, but at the end of the day, like, everyone wants to be seen,
Totally.
you know?
Well, and I think you're pointing to something I think about all the time that ultimately was one of the reasons I even started Breathe for Change in the first place, which is that in our teacher preparation programs, we're taught to teach the subjects: math, science, language arts, history, whatever it is, or if you're
Mhm.
teaching young ones, multiple subjects or whatever.
Yeah.
But we were never taught literally how to address the behaviors that are showing up in our classroom, how to effectively manage our classroom,
Mhm.
how to take care of our own well being in the process. Like, that was not my teacher preparation experience. And then when I was in my PhD program and I was involved in leading the teacher prep program, that was not the emphasis there, too. And I was like, there is something wrong here because it's literally setting our new teachers up for failure because we're just not prepared
Yeah.
mentally, emotionally, physically for the reality of what teaching is like, which is not just about teaching the subject.
Yeah, I mean, you're, like, having to learn how to take care of yourself, and
Yeah.
luckily, Fresno State helped me with some of that,
Yeah.
and so I did feel more prepared than some of my other, like,
Hmm.
colleagues, and they're like, "Oh," but then I'm also like, "Okay, how did my professor do that again?" And, like, I just remember feeling, like, warmth and different things,
Hmm.
but then I was like, "Wait, but I'm also having to juggle 70 different things."
Yep.
Right? And so I remember someone mentoring me being like, you're learning how to classroom manage, do this, all these things. But at the end of the day, like, you have to stay true to yourself.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, like, let me lean into my
Thank you for
strengths.
giving me permission
Yeah.
to do that.
Right. And they're like, you got to be really strict. You got to do this. And I was like, okay, that doesn't like come
Mm-mm.
very natural to me.
Mm-mm.
And so I'm like super organized and I like to have like logistics from like point A to point B. And so it's like, okay, let me lean into my strengths. Let me like
Mhm.
write down minute by minute, like, what are we going to do?
Yep.
So I can like be at least prepared. But then also at the same time, I was like, I'm really good with just connecting with people.
Mhm.
And so I really leaned in strong to like these relationships.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, yes, we're totally doing all these math things, but also like, how can we be funny or how can we just like enjoy each other's presence and company?
Yes.
Because I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to be miserable. Like, you're probably going to be miserable too.
No question.
Right. Like,
For sure.
anything that we do in life, if we're not having fun or enjoying it, it's like you dread it.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want students to dread being in my classroom.
Mhm. And this was from the very beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when I leaned in very heavily to that,
Mhm.
I started seeing a shift with my
Yeah.
students, right? And it wasn't me so much more controlling of like everything, but it was like, okay, kids started trusting each other a little bit more because I'm showing them like, oh, we can connect. Now they can connect and like
Mhm.
there was a lot more math conversations happening and like
Mhm.
checking in of like, hey, how's it going? And different all these it was like work hard, play hard. Like
Mhm.
we had stuff to do and like it was definitely business as usual. And at the same time, we're like laughing and enjoying learning about math, which is really interesting to hear or say because I know a lot of people are like having fun learning math,
Totally.
right?
Totally. I mean, that's absolutely incredible. I know we were talking a couple of days ago about your sister and how she's your role model and she's kind of always been one step ahead of you, so to speak. And I met her 10 years ago, which
Yeah.
was like in the first couple of years of you teaching. And I remember she was in one of the first cohorts, the first Bay Area cohort in Breathe for Change. And she would also talk about you, and then she would reach back out to me after her training and tell me all these things that she's now doing in her teaching. And I'm sure that was, like, coming to you in different ways. So I'm
Yeah.
curious how, like, the Breathe for Change training impacted your sister and then eventually brought you to me.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that piece.
So in 2016, she did that training. I just moved back to the Bay
Mhm.
and I was starting my whole like, okay, the burnout is real,
Yes.
right? And so I'm seeing her kind of being a little bit more My sister and I are very similar but different at the same time. She's a lot more laxed and a lot more like, oh, like go with the flow type of
Mhm.
thing. And I'm just like, okay, I kind of need to channel a little bit more of that.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm like, what are you doing? Or what are you preparing for? Like, what PDs are you going to? Like, what are you doing? Because again, my typical little sister fashion, when I moved back, I decided to work at the same school that she was
Oh
at.
my gosh.
Yeah.
You are so adorable. It makes me so happy that I have 2 daughters
Like,
that are I can already see they're like besties. It makes me thrilled. So you're inspiring me for my daughter's
oh,
futures.
yeah, we were not friends always.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right? Like, we definitely had fights. But yeah, like I just look up in everything that she does. I'm like, oh, she's working at this school. Let me go work at that school and see what it looks like.
Yeah,
And so she saw Breathe for Change and she got through Breathe for Change. And she was teaching a freshman seminar course and it was just teaching students like how to be a person,
yeah.
right? Like, how do you handle all these big emotions? How do you work through the stressors in life and then also still try and accomplish all the goals that you want to accomplish?
You just, like, said the new logo or new motto for Breathe for Change. What is Breathe for Change? It's just how to be a person. That's, like, literally what it is. Exactly. That's
Yeah,
hilarious. I love
it's,
that.
I mean, it speaks to me so much because, right, with social media, just all these little things,
Mhm.
sometimes we're like, wait, but how do we function in real life?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. How do we connect emotionally? How do we connect relationally? How
How
do
do you,
we, like, tap into our inherent creativity and, like, individuality, but
mhm.
also, like, collaborate and
How do you communicate? How do you
yeah,
handle like difficult conversations or
repair.
repair and
Yeah,
also how do you communicate what are you going through but also still being respectful
for
about
sure.
everybody else's things, right? Because we're all living in our own worlds, but at the same time we also have to be able to I don't know, like
Whole
commingle, or I don't know, just like,
I mean, co-create our reality
yeah,
together,
right.
really. I mean, at the core of what I'm hearing you say is that as human beings, especially in the context of education where we're learning how to be human beings, it's so critical that we're teaching our kids how to vulnerably share, how to mindfully listen to one another, how to take ownership of our impact. Even
Mhm.
if we have good intentions, it doesn't necessarily mean the impact resonates so deeply with someone else.
Exactly.
So, how do
Yeah.
we work through challenges? How do we collaborate? How do we expand our perspectives, critically think? I
Yeah.
mean, all of these human skills are what I believe education is about and should be about. And it's when we have those as the foundation
Mhm.
of teaching and learning that, oh, wow, all of a sudden we're able to learn math. We're
Yeah.
able to be present to
Mhm.
understand the science.
It's
We're
not so, like, cognitively overload,
exactly.
right? So my sister's huge, impact on me, and then another person is my husband.
Hmm.
I met him in
Fellow
Miami.
teacher.
Yes, fellow teacher.
I
Now
love
we
it.
work at the same school. I just like
You
to follow
love you
everybody. Yeah,
love just bringing all the people
I
into your
do.
school.
Um, Sometimes I
I'm
don't know
coming
about
to
the
your school
boundaries.
on
Yes,
the first week of school next year because
yes,
now you're in summer.
yep, yep,
I'm coming.
yes. Sometimes people are like, is that a healthy boundary? And I'm like, I love it. But yep, I can also see it's like maybe I should separate some
I mean,
things.
I am a full supporter of integrating your
Yep.
personal and your professional worlds because it's the people we spend time with all the time
Yeah.
are those that we work with. And
Right.
if we don't love and
I don't want to choose
enjoy,
the time
right,
between my husband and like the
exactly. So
people at
just be with
school.
him
So
all
I'm like,
day.
yeah, exactly. But he also very much so influenced me. So
Mm.
when we were in Miami together, he was doing a lot of the work with
Were you
oh
at
my
the same
God.
school there?
No, we were at rival schools.
Oh, that's funny.
So we met because my sister's friends worked at his school,
Mhm.
and so I, like, was saying hi to them, and then he's like, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm like, "Do I know you? Should I know you?" And everyone's like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh my god, you should know who he is," and all these things, and then we ended up working on a project together, and then, like, that the rest is
And now he's
history.
your husband.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he really got me into the space of that awareness to being mindful and
Mm.
learning about that brain science of, fight or flight, your prefrontal
Mhm.
cortex, your hippocampus, and different things.
All the
And
things I'm obsessed with.
yeah, and he was a guest speaker in my class. And in Florida, they do like a lot of state testing. And once state testing is over, then you really can dig deep into these, like, financial literacy, build a resume, professional headshot. And these were ninth graders, but I was like, okay, well, you might as well learn it younger,
Start young.
right? And
Yeah.
so I'm like, hey, like, do you want to be a guest speaker in my class? And I just saw this, like, impact he made on the students, and he did
Mm.
this one lesson, it was, like, about cockroaches. There were, like, no cockroaches around, but he's, like, had them all close their eyes, and they're doing these, like, breathing techniques, and you see, like, kids, like, squirming around, and I'm like, "Holy
Whoa.
crap, like, what is
The
this?"
body has wisdom.
Yeah, and so then, I started learning from him just, like, again, those 3, like, prefrontal cortex, how fight or flight, and all those different things, and I'm like, "I have to do this for my classroom, and
Mm.
I need to, like, start practicing myself, like, how to meditate and journal and, like, not telling myself, but just, like, being grateful and recognizing 3 things that I'm grateful for every day, and just, like, shifting that mindset so I can be a little bit more present instead of just, like, doing, 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 doing,
Mhm. How do
right?
I actually be?
Yeah, and so
Mhm.
then, like, I'm learning all this. I'm moving back to the Bay. I'm talking to my sister about, like, what she's going into, and she's telling me about Breathe for Change and then how she's, like, starting to use some of that curriculum into class, and then she's telling me about yoga, and I'm like, "Okay, let me start trying that out," and then I'm, like, getting hooked, and then, like, COVID hits,
Mhm.
and we're like, "What do we do?"
And we were like at Breathe for Change, what do we do? Because we're like, all of our teachers are all over the country and we need to make this accessible, especially now because it's such a stressful time in
Right?
education and with educators holding their students through the pandemic. I mean, there is literally no more stressful thing than I can think of than
Yeah.
what happened in
Like,
those early years
everyone was
of the
just like,
pandemic.
"What do you do?"
Yeah.
And so I'm, like, trying to find resources. Of course, I'm still, like, tapping into my sister's resources, and I'm like, "Okay." I got an opportunity to start teaching a new program where I was helping students transition from middle school to high school, and I'm like, "Okay, you're coming to school, but there's, like, this disconnect.
Mhm.
Let's, like, start piecing all these different things together." And she had all your curriculum and all those things to support, but I'm also like, "Okay,
My turn.
but the curriculum's good, but, like, I want to process it
Mhm.
and understand and learn for myself and all those things." So, that's when I'm like, "Hi, Lana, like,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, resources.
And I was like
Can you help support me?" Right?
"Just come." And I'll never forget because I remember your sister so vividly. It was so obvious to me that I wanted to create space for you to be in Breathe for Change, and then when I saw you on day 1 of the training, I was just so thrilled that you were there, and I didn't know all of the details of your story at that point because I
No,
really
yeah.
knew you through your sister.
Mhm.
Um, but wow, that was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so much has happened since. So what was your experience like in the program? Like, what shifted for you?
It was really interesting because on not just, like, in a professional level, but in, like, a personal level, I was
Mhm,
going through a lot of different things and trying to figure out, like, how do I manage that emotionally, and how do
mhm,
I show up for my students while also still, like, dealing with these personal things
mhm.
and being okay,
Yeah.
right? And then Breathe for Change allowed me to be vulnerable with these strangers.
We have a tendency to do that, don't we?
Yeah, yeah. I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, look at me just pouring out all of
Mhm.
my, like, deep not like, deepest concerns or just, like,
Yeah.
insecurities and, like, these hardships that I'm going through."
Through those mindful listening protocols and the
Yeah.
equitable sharing. I mean, the reason that I just felt so strongly that that was the essence of what Breathe for Change should be is because as educators, our profession can actually be really isolating,
Yeah.
right? Because we're in our own classrooms.
Mhm,
We have so much work to do. So it's not like we
mhm.
have like all this time
To
to
just,
just
like,
like
"Let me
process
tell you about
life
my
and
day."
reflect and
Yeah.
like, how are you? It's like, fine, gotta go, right? We don't
You're
have the
eating lunch while still teaching.
and you
Right.
don't pee. Like,
Yeah.
let's be honest,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, where is there a home and there a space for us as educators where we can just be our authentic, vulnerable selves, where we can share our highs and our deep, deep lows, where we can be held by each other and to feel like I am actually seen, I am heard, I am
Without the
valued
judgment,
here with no judgment.
right? Yeah.
And, I'm so glad you had that
So it was
experience.
just really, I don't know, the buzzword is like transformational, but for me, it really was.
Mm.
And it was, I remember going through or at least signing up and being like, oh, I'm so excited to have this professional development for my students. And like little did I know it was like, gonna impact me so much more and be able to just like accept myself
Mhm.
and like just let go a little bit more,
Ugh, so
right?
you're bringing me back to the early years of Breathe for Change, where I would literally be the one on the phone with every single person who applied to Breathe for Change. So I talked to thousands upon thousands of educators, and almost everyone who's ever come is like, I'm like, "Why are you doing this?" They're like, "I'm so excited. I wanna learn all these strategies for my classroom, and I'm so excited to enhance my pedagogy and to improve my classroom management, et cetera, et cetera."
Yeah.
And then at the end, they're always like, "Oh my god, I had no idea it was about me."
Yeah, yeah, like,
Yeah.
there I'm, like, holding so much like, it was all so heavy, and now I'm like, "Oh."
Right. Because as educators, we give so much of ourselves to our kids, to our communities. We're constantly giving,
Mhm.
and we just don't even realize that we're not giving that same love, that same care, that same attention, prioritization to ourselves.
I mean, it's still a work in progress,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
still working on my
I mean,
self-compassion.
me
Like
too. It's a lifelong journey. This is not something that you do once, check, and you're done.
right, right.
But it's the awareness
Mhm.
piece and the experience that we collectively feel when we're all doing this work together of like, "Oh my gosh." Like, 1, I'm not alone. 2, I'm worthy of this time for myself.
Yeah.
I deserve to care for me and to, like, really nurture my emotional, my mental, my physical health so that I can show up more fully for my kids, which is why I'm here in the first place in education. Definitely not for the money, let's be
Yeah.
honest.
It's like,
Like,
we're I don't know, it was kind of interesting that I'm like, "Oh, I'm being able to find these boundaries where I can,
mhm,
like, be kinder to myself
mhm.
and not have this, like, ridiculous expectation. Because yeah, like, the to-do list is never ending as a
Yeah.
teacher, I feel like. Like, there's always something that you can
Oh,
continue
no.
and benchmark and even
The
more.
to-do list is like months long.
Yeah.
Like, even over summer, it's like, oh, wait, let me think about all those things that I
This is
still
the
need to
first week
do.
of summer break, but I'm like,
You're like,
"Okay, these are the things that I'm ready to go and do." And I'm like,
exactly.
"Wait, wait, wait, no."
You're like, "Okay, hold on. How do I take a moment of pause, take a
Yeah.
deep breath in, let it go, and just be for a moment?"
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
the practice. Oh,
Mhm.
so what were the things that you really took out of the training? So you, like, had this transformative experience, but then the training ended.
Yeah.
What happened?
So I was still like maybe a year in, or maybe 2 years into this program that I was teaching at school, where I was helping students transition from middle school to high school. And I was like, okay, I feel a little bit more confident in being able to bring yoga into the classroom. Like, we got yoga mats. We were doing 30 minutes once a week.
Wow.
And kids were just like, yoga, stretching. But then I'm like, you guys, like, let's learn a little bit about like how this connects to math and like your brain and how, everyone's
Bringing
thinking,
back the prefrontal cortex, the
yes,
fight or flight.
exactly. And so
So cool.
I'm the first, like, 2 weeks of school or first week of school, I mean, we touch math a little bit, like, I make them make these geometry shapes, from Dr. Joe Bowler's Stanford's, like, U-cube thing, and so we're doing some math things, but
Uh-huh.
I'm really starting with, like, "Okay, you guys, when you go into this classroom, like, tell me what you're feeling." And they're like, "It's math. I hate it." And I'm like, "You
Uh-huh.
just don't like it yet." And then we like talk about like, why are you feeling this way?
Mhm.
Like, you are going through a stress response right now. And so when your brain shuts off, like I can be the most engaging person, but there's going to be this block for you. And so we have to like make sure your brain is calm, right?
Mhm.
And so I go through this like little lesson about um like take your finger, point to your prefrontal cortex, like if you can understand what's happening, like that's your prefrontal cortex, it's working, right?
Oh,
Things
that's
like
so
that.
cool.
Or like I have like a little stress ball and I just like randomly chuck it in the room and I'm like, oh, I guess we found out your stress response. Are you fight, flight, or freeze? And I
Oh
give them
my
like
god, you're the
a
best teacher.
I give them a little, I'm like, okay, I'm about to throw something. It's okay. Like, I'm
Mhm.
not just, like, chucking it at a
Like,
person,
hit some
but I'm
kid's
like
head.
yeah, and I'm like, "Oop, I think they're a freeze response."
Mhm.
So I'll make, like, little jokes, but some students are like, "Oh my god, I that makes so much more sense." Right? And I'm like,
Interesting.
"Okay, so, when we feel tense up, like, when your like, palms start to get sweaty or different things, like, we gotta calm ourselves down at first, like, we're not there's nothing that I can do like, that you will remember in whatever I'm teaching in because you're just, like, such in a stress response mode, right? And so
Mhm.
when the kiddos can kinda learn and understand that, they're like, "Okay, like, how do I get my brain calm then?"
Mhm.
And then we talk about, like, the hippocampus, and it's like a hip campus and
Oh my gosh,
things like
that's so
that.
good.
Kudos to my husband. He, like, gives me all these little
Oh,
yeah,
wow. I need to have, like, a deep dive with your husband. That
yeah,
would I've never heard that one
yeah,
before.
yeah,
Hip campus.
yeah, and so I'm like,
Come
you
on
know
over to my hip campus.
yeah, right? So I'm like, when you're like forgetting something on a test, like things aren't being stored there and they're like connecting like, oh, like no wonder and all these different things.
Mhm.
Or like if I'm so stressed out or I'm like not eating or not sleeping enough, like I can't store these memories or access these memories. And
Mhm.
so like the first week or two is really just kind of giving them this foundation of like,
Neuroscience.
yes, in like the most basic way. And I
Neuroscience, awareness, community building, mindfulness,
mhm.
all the
Like,
things.
what does good group work look
How
like?
are you a human?
Yeah. How do you
Before
communicate?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Like, we're gonna work in groups a lot and we're gonna talk to each other.
yep.
I know we're really into social media, but we cannot hide behind a screen and just chat with each other this whole time. And
Mhm,
so I know I'm really extroverted. And so not all students are like that, but
mhm,
I give them opportunities of like, okay, like write down your thoughts first. If you don't want to share it verbally, like just switch papers so at least your teammate is reading it.
mhm.
Right.
It's
So
like the two-word check-in. Yeah.
yeah. And then I start class every single day and my kids will make fun of me all the time. Like, do your daily check-in and do they still have to do their daily check-in? I'm like, yes, it's so important. And I tell them like it is for me because I want to understand like how are you feeling? What's your headspace?
So you can respond more effectively.
Right.
Yeah.
And also I want them to like take time for you.
Mhm.
When was the last time
Awareness.
you checked in?
Yeah.
Like, did you eat? Did you sleep well? Or are you sleeping well? Like, are you seeing these patterns? So, like, that math person in me is always like, okay, let's collect data. Let's
Mhm,
analyze this data. Let's figure out what we can do. How can we make it better? But also I'm like, this information is for you too,
mhm.
right?
I know a lot of educators who, especially who are working with secondary students, feel like so nervous about the pushback, the resistance with these types of practices that you're doing. And I'm curious, like, you just move through resistance. Like, you know it's going to happen, and it always does. There's a flavor of, like, oh, Miss Della Rosa, there she
Yeah.
goes again.
Daily check in. And I'm like, yeah. And so
But it
I
still
make a joke.
works.
I make a
Yeah.
joke out of it.
Exactly, and it's like
And
you
then
keep going, and it's through the consistency that this
mhm,
stuff works magic.
right? It's all about that structure and like they know what to expect from me.
Mhm,
It might look very different on a day to day of like, okay, are we reviewing? Are we learning? Are we working? What? But they know like when they're coming into my classroom, I'm going to step outside the door. If they don't see me in front of my door, like students know they shouldn't come in yet.
mhm.
Um, and I have been told I can be very rigid. And at the same time, I'm like, yes,
Predictability is the way.
right? It's
That's
not
where
as
they
anxious.
feel safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I'm standing outside of my classroom. I'm greeting them, each person by name. Sometimes the bell will ring and like class has already started, but I still haven't gotten through saying hi to everybody. And I think that's always important, right?
Mhm.
Like, how can I make each student feel special, even though they're not the first person I'm saying hi
Mhm.
to that day?
In our master's program, one of my favorite strategies that we teach in the relational intelligence component is positive greetings at the door, and it's literally exactly what you're saying.
It
It's
makes
like
a huge difference.
because every student feels seen,
Uh-huh.
like, I'm important,
Uh-huh.
I'm valued, I belong here,
Yeah.
my teacher knows me.
Yeah. And so then with that Google form check-in that I do, first 5 minutes, it lets me take attendance. It lets me like read through, okay, this person's having a rough day. Let me just write on a post-it note really quickly, like, hey, you want to talk about it or you want to email me about it? I'm here to listen. And it's surprising to see, like, first week of school, they're still testing it out. And then like weeks go on by and they're telling me on these like either funny things or sometimes like heavy things. But it makes a huge difference because maybe I'm not going to push them as hard as I usually do. But like we're at least on the same page and they know I have seen like where they're at right now. And
They
like,
trust
mhm.
you.
And then so yeah, we go through just kind of like that community building because I think it's
Mhm.
really important to kind of set that tone before we get into the notes aspect.
You're so, inspiring to me and moving me so deeply. It's so
Thanks.
cool to just hear what you've done as an educator, and I'm curious, right? I imagine that there are days where the check-ins are, like, a little bit more positive and people are more excited and inspired, and then there are days where it's, like, dysregulation is present or stress, overwhelm, anxiety, and what are those days like for you, and how do you respond?
I It helps me really gauge on like how silly I can be in class,
Mhm.
right? Am I trying out new jokes or working on my stand-up comedian skills or am I just like we got things to do and we're going to
Mm.
push through it. And
Mhm.
so it can get really heavy.
Mhm.
And I think on those days especially that I kind of lean into my silliness just a little bit more.
On the heavy days.
Yeah,
Mhm. 'Cause they need
because
it.
yeah, cuz I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, I'm going to hold that in and like if I kind of hold that heaviness too, then it kind
Mhm.
of sets that tone of like, oh, it's
Mhm.
just like really gloomy and dark. So, like on those days, I'm like, okay, our backlighting today is going to be yellow instead of purple. Like, let's just like liven it up a little bit. Or when
Uh-huh.
it's really cloudy and I need just a little bit more light, let's make, those like LED
Yeah,
lights.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I have like globes and like little LED lights. And I'm just like, okay, let's make it green.
You, like, turn your classroom into a club.
Yeah. I'm like trying to set the move and really
Best teacher ever.
control the environment as much as I can.
Mhm.
So like things like that, and then I try and make a point to the middle of the period because I'm teaching like 50-minute periods. I put it on the students and I'm like, someone's got to remind me because me, I'm jumping all over the place. Someone's got to remind me we got to take a mindful break. Right. So, like, whether it's 30 seconds, whether it's a minute. And sometimes if the energy is low, that's where I'm like, okay, we're playing
Energizer.
7 or 11 or we're playing what
Rock,
is
paper,
it?
scissors?
No, so I learned this new one where they're like putting their hands behind their back and they choose a number. So like one hand for the
Hmm.
beginner level, two hands for advanced. And so like say my number's 4 and I'm putting it behind my back and the other student has another number and when I say go, they put their numbers in front of them
Okay.
and then they have to add the number the fastest and
Of the 2 hands.
yeah.
Okay.
And so
My
like
husband would be so good at this.
yeah.
I would lose for
And the kids
sure.
are just like but I'm like, "Okay, it's still a little bit of math," but they're giggling, they're trying to be
Uh-huh.
competitive, and it's, like, kind of building that camaraderie, and then I'm like, "Okay, if you lost, like, sorry, like, you're sitting down. If you've moved on to the next round, like,
Find
find
a
your
new
next."
partner.
Mhm, and then I'm like, "Okay, we've got our, performing enhancing, starbursts for today," and,
I
like,
love
have
this. I
little
just so see the coach in you. You're like, "Okay, who's gonna win the championship
Yeah,
game?" You're
exactly.
like, "We're not doing math until the champion is revealed.
Yeah.
Gold
And then
medal."
the kids are just like, "Oh my gosh, you're so extra." And I'm like, "Okay, but are you smiling?" Or it's as simple as like,
Yeah.
go find somebody, give them somebody a high five.
Mhm.
Try giving somebody a high
Yeah.
five without smiling. And then they're just like, and I'm like, "Oh, I
I
think I see
see
you smile."
it.
Yeah, And so it's things like that where, okay, if we're too squirrely, then I'm like, okay, like, let's just close our eyes for a second and let's just like take some deep breaths.
Mhm.
And I make them go through like, okay, let's deep inhale for 4 and exhale for 8. And I
Mhm.
just like give them,
Elongating the exhale
mhm,
calms the nervous system.
right? And
Yeah.
so, and then I'm like, okay, if you need some energy, like, let's bring, how do you like, um, how do you increase your breathing to give you that, like, energy? Or how do you,
Mhm.
like, slow it down to, like, calm you down?
Mhm.
So, like, different things like that, I'm trying to just put in the classroom always
Mhm.
before test day, before they actually take that test. And I'm like, "How many of you feel really nervous right now?"
It's
It
like me.
yeah, it is okay to, like,
Yep.
name that, and then, like, let's pause and calm that brain down, or else you're not gonna be able to access those memories or
Yeah.
that from that hippocampus, and your prefrontal cortex is not gonna be working. So, just continuing to circle all the little things that we went through at the beginning of the school year
Yep.
and seeing how that spirals
Yep.
to the day to day so that they're just not like, this is what we're learning today, and it's completely something separate to
It's
what we're
it's
doing now,
just
right?
such extraordinary teaching, and what you're doing is you're demonstrating how you can take both a responsive and a proactive approach to all of this work that we do together, which is like, okay, proactive would be, okay, I'm starting my day every day with a check-in.
Yeah.
That's proactive. It's in your consistent daily routine. You're proactively enhancing your students' learning, enhancing their well-being, enhancing the culture and climate. So that's in your daily routine, proactive. You're doing that, but you're also taking a responsive approach. So you notice in the middle of class, your students are
Yeah.
wiggly and jiggly. You're like, okay, we got to hone it in. Let's take a couple of breaths. You're
Yeah.
responding to the moment. Or, wow, it feels really heavy in here. Let's do something light and playful.
Yeah.
Right? But that's not gonna be the same every day,
No,
and it's
yeah.
also not
Even
gonna be at the same
periods,
time,
even the
and
different periods and
e
different students.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and they're both important, right? One is addressing the more long-term predictability, sustainability, well-being, like, the putting it into your daily lives is going to enhance your long-term outcomes, but then the responsive is, like, dealing with the short term, what's happening in this
Yeah.
moment, and both are what's gonna elevate teaching and learning outcomes.
Yeah. I think it's so important to just show the students, like, we can build a habit
Mhm,
and then also, like, respond to that habit or respond to, like, these different tools or things that we've kept in our back pocket
mhm,
so that when something arises, it's like, okay, how can we be a person and, like, function through it,
mhm.
right?
Ugh.
And then, like, to end every day we're ending with a reflection.
Mm.
So I'm all about like, okay, guys, we're reflecting and we're thinking, and they're like, oh my
We're the
gosh,
same
so many.
person.
Yeah, they're like, so many things. And I'm like, you guys, it's so important. Like, how
Mhm,
productive were you being today?
mhm,
Like, is there anything that got in your way in learning?
mhm,
Do you have questions for me? Because, like sometimes students don't want to ask in front of
mhm,
the whole class what your questions were.
mhm,
And my goal is, like, hopefully you can ask those questions even though it feels silly or it's scary, but,
mhm.
there's still those moments where students don't wanna ask those
Yeah.
questions, right? So, like, being able to gather, again, for me, all the data that I can so I can help improve the learning experience for my students, and also having them self-reflect of, like, "Okay, well, how was I a student today?"
Mhm.
Right? Like, so that they can take accountability and ownership for themselves too.
And how do you see all of this impacting your students' experience in school?
I think it really helps them feel seen.
Mhm,
They feel like their voice matters.
mhm,
They feel like when they do give me feedback, I mean, I'm not going to take every single feedback and implement it,
mhm,
but there are things that I'm like, I did not consider that. Like, thank you. Let me
mhm,
see if I can do that a little bit more.
mhm,
Right. It gives them an opportunity to connect with one another. Right. There's like another practice that I do where it's, typical two truths and a lie.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but instead, I will create a slide deck for everybody, and they'll put a picture of themselves and they have two truths and a lie. And instead of going all through it all on the same day, that can be so much, right?
Mhm.
We just spotlight one person a day.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
And they're up,
And
like,
then
they're
they'll
the
stand
star
up.
of the show, and
They're the
they
star for the
s
day.
oh,
They stand up and they'll say, like, okay, like, this is me. These are my 3 statements. And then I'll say, all right, everybody, like, I'm not moving on until I see everybody's fingers. Which one's the lie? Vote 1, 2, or 3. And then, like, we'll scan and
Do
then
they usually get it right?
some of them do because
Uh-huh.
they'll know each other.
Yeah.
But when at the beginning of the year, they'll get it wrong a lot more.
Mhm.
And so I will voice and kind of say, like, "I'm voting 2 because this is what we know about this person."
Mhm.
And then I'll be like, "Okay, so which one's the lie?" And then, they love it when they get to stump me,
Yep.
right? And I'm like, "Oh, like, I got
Oh my
tricked."
gosh, duh.
Like, "Oh, you traveled to 5 places instead of 4. Like, you got me on a technicality, but you still got me." And then we get to have this, like, follow-up a little bit of, okay, like, what was one of them? There was one period, there was just a common theme about pets,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what did you guys do to all your pets? Should I tell your parents you should no longer have pets? Or, like, what's happening here?" And we get to just have these, like, conversations that don't always necessarily have to
Mhm.
be about math,
Yeah,
even though I'm like, "Okay, math, you guys, like, I love math."
it's just so fun to hear you speaking about how you show up as a teacher because, at Breathe for Change, we've created our human intelligence framework. And
Yeah.
earlier you mentioned, gosh, there's just cognitive overload in
Mhm.
education. And that's literally why we developed it is like everything is cognitive intelligence, like thinking, the mind. But there's all these other layers of human intelligence. There's somatic intelligence, the intelligence of our bodies. There's emotional intelligence, like our capacity to feel deeply. There's, relational intelligence, like how do we relate to one another
Yeah.
effectively? There's universal intelligence, like our ability to connect to and live out our purpose.
Mhm.
And I think you are like an embodiment of all five of those layers. And like, I'm like, oh, she's speaking about the nervous system and like wiggling bodies and breathing, like somatic intelligence in action. Like you're doing the check in. That's like emotional intelligence. Like they're building emotional awareness, which is key for them to be effective learners in
And them,
school.
like, understanding of, like, where's that heaviness at? Is
Right.
it in your, like, shoulders? Like, do you feel this pit in your stomach? Like, are
Right.
you holding your stress in, like, your hips or your back? Or, like, where does it feel heavy for you? And so, like, again, having that awareness, when you have that awareness, it's like, okay, you can either choose to be able to just sit there with it,
Mhm.
or you can do something about it
Right.
if you would like to.
And you can regulate, so to speak, and I hate the way people talk about regulation in education. It's like adapting to what your body needs in the moment
Yeah,
and what
yeah.
you need emotionally in the moment. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, and then like cognitive intelligence, like I just feel like you've expanded the definition. The way I think about it is like tapping into your creativity, like letting kids be kids.
Mhm.
And it's about creating things that are new, not just like memorizing and regurgitating everything.
Yeah. And then what else do I think about? Like, even with um we have to learn about, like, our expectations in class, right?
Right.
Our procedures.
Yes.
We need to, or to me, I like to be efficient because there's a limited amount of time in the day and
Mhm.
just, like, in general. And so, like, kids, you have to kind of trust me. Like, we got to do, I'm a very bell to bell
Yes.
person. And so I'm like, like, with 2 minutes, we can do something with these 2 minutes.
Yes.
And so, like, and also I like to make it engaging and
Mhm.
fun. And so, right, like, usually you get a syllabus and, like, we're going through the syllabus and this, and I'm like, "Okay, why not make it a Jeopardy review?
Mhm.
Like, here's all the answers. Here are all
Mhm.
my expectations, structures, objectives for this class, but let's make a Jeopardy review out of it instead of me telling you what's gonna happen in class."
It's so good. And, like, that's also building on the relational intelligence because 'cause you're helping them build human connection as
Yeah,
you're teaching.
and on the first day of school.
Yeah. Eh
I'm not gonna sugarcoat it either and saying, like, this is just, like, boom, this is what I did from year 1, right?
totally.
Um, but through the years, I'm like, "Okay, it's so boring to just sit there and you're just listening to syllabus for 6 classes,"
Mhm.
right? So, like, let's make it fun for the both of us.
For sure, for sure. And I think at the end of the day, what you're doing that's so powerful is your students are finding purpose in the learning. And that's like that universal intelligence, something bigger than themselves. It's not just like, I'm doing this because I have to learn math. It's like
Yeah.
they feel excited to be there. They
Mhm.
want to learn
Mhm.
because of the way you hold space for them, the way you help them, really challenge them to think about who am I and why am I here and why does this matter? And that's so beautiful. And I just I'm like, "Oh, duh, she's California Teacher of the Year." Like, I mean, I just would love to hear, this year you got nominated at your school, right, for
Yeah,
Teacher of the Year,
yeah.
and then district,
Yep.
and then the state of California chose you. Can you just tell us, like, what in the world has this journey been like for you? That is unbelievable.
It's been really fun.
Mhm.
It's been really, really fun. I've got to experience a lot of awesome things, like, I got to drop the puck at a Sharks game.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
it was so cool. I was
At
like,
a Sharks
"What?" At a
game? Like,
Sharks
I
game.
grew up going to the Sharks game,
Mhm.
that's so cool.
They, like, got me a jersey, and I got to, like, bring my family and have this, like, super, never, like, once in a lifetime experience,
Mhm.
right? I've been able to kind of a lot of doors have opened up for me, and at the same time, I'm like, "Cool, but how can I also open these doors for my students?"
Mhm.
And so we've been able to take students to the BFC games, San Jose earthquake
Oh,
games, and
this is like my childhood dream.
right.
This
And
is
I'm like, how
awesome.
do I help connect the students back to Piedmont Hills and
Mhm.
kind of give them these opportunities that they probably wouldn't have
Mhm.
so that they are excited about school.
Mhm.
And so it's like kind of hooking them in. Like, oh, if I maybe check my email a little bit more, get involved a little bit more, like I can find these experiences or spaces where I can feel like I belong or just, I don't know, have a different experience, right?
Mhm.
So that school isn't just a place where I have to go to and where I have to go and listen to my teacher lecture and all those things.
Wow.
So
And
it
how many teachers are there in California?
like 300,000 plus.
And you're the California Teacher of the Year. It's just extraordinary, and I love that even in your reflection of the journey, you're like, where you got this award, you're still elevating your students. I just think that that's, like, literally why you won is, like, you've spent your whole career just, like, so deeply focused on how do I create opportunities that allow my kids to thrive, and
Yeah, I think like at the end of the day, it's all about your community,
Mhm,
right? I don't think I would be able to do a lot of the things that I do for my school or the things that I do at school without like super awesome coworkers and colleagues
mhm,
who like are on the same page or who are like, yeah, you want to do that? Like, let's do this. And how can we do this together, right?
mhm,
Like we talk all the time about it takes a village,
mm,
and like the people who I work with, my family who inspire me and like help push me to be better, and just like everyone who I'm connected to, there's like that really, really strong sense of like, hey, we believe in you, we got you,
mhm,
like connecting with you and like
mhm.
you investing in me and like being able to go through breathe for change and just like all the spaces that have been available to me, it's like really it really makes me feel grateful for having the people like in my corner,
Mhm,
right? Like they're so happy to cheer me on or they're so happy to like help me have my like all these random crazy ideas like come to life,
mm,
right? Like my husband's always just like, "Yeah, how do we do it?"
so
You
cool.
know? Or I'm like pitching an idea to my principal and my principal's like,
Yes, and
let's
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 go.
let's look through how we can do these things. Or like my coworkers, I'm like, hey, staff versus students, and they're like, yeah, let's elevate that. How do we do that?
Mhm,
So it feels really. I feel really grateful and lucky
mhm,
that like my students can inspire me and like teach me and like let me be who I am.
mhm,
And then at the same time, like have these people in my corner, like
mhm.
say yes and just like do the things that we do, you know?
It's so cool, and, ugh, so inspiring, and it's been such a joy to know you this whole time and then now to be
Thank you.
celebrating you, and I am just so curious, like, with this almost platform that you now have, like, what do you feel is your next step?
I don't know. I'm kinda just, like, riding the wave,
Yeah.
It's like, sure, like, that sounds like a fun opportunity.
Uh-huh.
Or, like, I'm always open to, like, conversations or just how, at the end of the day, like, bring it back to, again, like, my students
Mhm.
and, like, creating spaces for them so that they can have doors open for them and, like,
Mhm.
access different things. I talk about how much education changed my life and my trajectory,
Mhm.
and especially being in San Jose,
Mhm.
right? There's different pockets of San Jose,
Mhm.
right? Everyone thinks about Silicon Valley
Mhm.
and like there's so much resources and all these things. And there are. And then there's also like, okay, but there's also different parts of
Mhm.
San Jose and Silicon Valley that
Mhm.
are not always as equitable or just
Mhm.
like, and with
Definitely.
education being um, limited in resources,
Mhm.
I'm always trying to be like, okay, that's fine. It is what it is. Let's go find people who want to support us,
Mhm.
right?
So important. It's just community. How do we grow
Yeah.
this together and
Yeah.
build? And for all of the inspired educators who I'm sure are listening to this podcast, like any words of wisdom you want to leave them with?
Yeah, I think it's really important for people to find their people,
Mhm.
right? Like, I don't think I would be where I'm at today if I didn't have people who supported me as much as
Mhm.
they did and who serve as like role models or just kind of that mentor
Mhm.
to, I guess, be the teacher, educator, or person for my students.
Mhm. Aw,
Yeah.
amazing. Well, you are such an inspiration to me. It's been
Thank you.
so fun to
Thank
have
you.
this
Thank you.
conversation, and thank you so much, and congratulations. Heck yeah.
Thank
California
you.
Teacher of the Year, and just thank you for sharing your heart and your work with us.
I mean, I'm so, so, so grateful for, my sister introducing me to Breathe for Change. And then, like, again, for you and investing in me and helping
Mhm.
me being able to bring all those things to my students and to, like, my life and not feel so heavy
Mm.
and just be able to, like, be.
The gifts that keep on giving for
Right?
both of us. Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.